This diagnosis is going to affect everyone in your family in different ways. And there's a lot of information on Autism Speaks on that. There's a family toolkit that you can look at as well that has different ideas for grandparents and different ideas for siblings and different ideas for parents of how best to support their family member with autism. So it's going to affect each one differently. What is supporting the parents? It can be many things. You have to decide what you can do, what you can't do, based on your own your own status, physically, mentally, and fiscally. I'll ask you to do something very hard. Think long term. Don't use all your energy and/or your money up in a short period of time. There are some obvious things you consider doing based on your own circumstances. So that's a really important point too. Like what I said before about it being a marathon and not a sprint. I've seen grandparents empty out the retirement fund in order to get services for their grandchild and stuff. It's everyone's personal decision about how they want to contribute and how they want to help. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do what you inside feel like you need to do, but you have to think long term, and not only for your grandchild, but for yourself. Like, what can you do and still be okay yourself? Another important thing is to not take sides. And just remember to be on your grandchild's side. Okay, so don't get involved in the back and forth and the, anything that goes on between the spouses and their decisions and that type of thing. Some other things that you can do is you can give time. Are there other kids, like we said, take them for special outings or just time with you. They are likely to get much less of their parents' time now, and that's really the case. There's actually been studies done about siblings of kids with disabilities having a lot of issues and problems because of lack of parental interaction. The one important thing I want to say too that I know is if your child is getting intervention in a family home and there's other siblings in the house, the other siblings can feel like they're not getting any attention and stuff like that. So they can almost feel like one little boy I was working with now, he has a younger brother by 1 year and is not on the spectrum. He wants us to come and sit and play with him the way we do with his brother because he gets that attention, a lot of one-on-one attention with an adult. So be conscious of autism not taking over the entire family and that you're not able to enjoy family life together. If you can, take your other grandchildren out and spend special time with them, that's great. If you can, take the kids and babysit so that the parents have a night out on, a date. I have worked with families that haven't gone to a restaurant in 7 years because they couldn't manage the child in that environment and they didn't have relatives close by to help. So all those kind of things you can do are very, very, very helpful for your grandchild. Find some books or online resources that help them understand, to the extent they are able, what's happening about research and new discoveries and new ideas. Learn all you can about autism, but more importantly, learn all that you can about your grandchild. And in that way, like if you just focus on your grandchild, figure out almost like, well, what are the things he does when he's happy? What are the things that make him happy? What are the activities that make him happy? And then create or set up those opportunities for those things to be available. There's a behavioral term that we use called pairing, which means that you should pair yourself with the thing your grandchild likes the most. So if they're on the ground playing with Thomas the Tank Engine, go on the ground and play with them on the floor. They will love it. People don't think that they do, but they actually do. You might not get the eye contact and stuff like that, but they're going to associate you with something they enjoy and they love. And that's what you want to do, is you want to associate yourself with things that your grandchild is interested in. That you have to be wise about how you try to help your adult children. There's a fine line, especially I think with in-laws. Like if your in-law is a daughter, you can't step on her toes, right? You can't take over, which is something that you might feel like you want to do because you want to give them all the information that they can possibly have. So just realize that you're going to have to think about, do I want to be in my grandchild's life? Yes. If I say this thing, is it likely I'm going to be invited to dinner next week? No. Then maybe it's not the best time to say it. So you have to respect wherever your adult children are on their journey of acceptance and their journey of what they're doing for intervention. And know that they're the decision makers. You may think that they're going totally down the wrong path and making a bad decision, but they're the decision makers, and you have to kind of respect that. Some other ideas of how to support, you can take on some tasks. Right now, for example, I'm helping get information about disabled student services community colleges, so my daughter-in-law can focus on conservancies and other matters. This is later in life. And as I said earlier, get to know your grandchild, learn what their triggers are, learn what you can do to help them, how you can talk to them and relate to them. Learn how to deal with their behaviors so that you feel empowered and that you don't feel scared or worried about, interacting with them. Learn what works. Don't be afraid to try something you think of, and if it works, share it. It says here, learn from ABA specialists and the parent the best ways to interact with your grandchild. And the one thing I will say about ABA, and it may be because that's my field, is to date it's still really the only truly scientifically backed intervention. There are a lot of times there's research coming out that is more anecdotal. And when I say anecdotal, it's like you spend $3,000 on this cranial sacral therapy, and then they ask you when they leave, is he doing better? And you just spent $3,000. So you go, oh yeah, he's definitely. I can already see it, because you want to actually reinforce yourself for making that decision. That's not good research. Other people's report or other people's comments about it. Good research are controlled studies where you're comparing the intervention with non-intervention or the intervention with another intervention. They're in scientific journals. And as I said, to date, ABA is got the most research behind it in terms of being effective in helping kids on the spectrum. Okay, you also have to accept that you may do as much as you can, and then even more, and that your grandchild may never say thank you or acknowledge you in any way. Give money if you can. If you have more than a little money that you think you could use, get a financial consultant or advisor and let them help you come up with the best ways to support while still protecting your own position. Therapy is expensive. It's very expensive. Especially like ABA requires a lot of hours per week. Fortunately, with the insurance, now that they're covering it, that's less of a burden on families. But, when I first started in this field, there was nothing, no insurance company paid for this, like 20 years ago. And I would see parents take out second mortgages on their house so they could pay for therapy. So it is a huge issue, having the money for the therapies that are needed. So the major concern of grandparents is the well-being of their adult children, because a child's autism diagnosis can lead to emotional, financial, and marital stress. Grandparents actually play a more significant role than they would in a family that does not have these challenges. And I actually think that's like one of the blessings of it, because family relationships actually, I was even reading Autism Speaks, become stronger and closer because of the diagnosis. What you can do if you live at a distance, pay for respite services. And respite services basically means a break from the child with people who are trained to support individuals with autism. So not a typical babysitter, but someone who actually would be able to keep the child safe, and they would feel okay about going out and getting something done for themselves. Educate yourself and your extended family. Attend seminars, read books, call or email your family to get frequent updates on your grandchild's progress. Become active in their treatment and development. If they start getting treatment at home, I would advise you to sit in on a couple of sessions. See how the therapist is getting the child to interact with them. And then that way, when they're not there, you have some tools of things that you can try that you saw was working during the session. So again, it's just like the more you know, the more you're going to feel that you can really help. We already talked about this part. Some ways you can emotionally support your adult children is walking that fine line, like I said. Yeah, so do you want to be part of your grandchild's life? Proceed with wisdom and caution and slowly think about what you're saying and how you say it. And the other thing too is keep the door open for genuine communication by sharing your own sadness and fears and joy, and then be open and honest about how you feel about interacting with your grandchild. If you feel like, I just don't know what to do, you got to say that, and that's okay to say that. And then you're like, can I sit in on a session and watch, or something to solve that for yourselves. Relating to the child with autism can be draining and stressful. It's okay to admit at times you feel frustrated and frazzled too with helping your own grandchild. That's common. Again, I go back to one of the most important things. I think one of the most important roles of grandparents is to provide hope for the future, provide hope with your wisdom and your life experience of knowing that however bad it is right at this moment, it's not going to ever stay that bad. Every single day, it's going to get a little bit better. So be that light of hope for your family.